Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Fuel community. My name is Wack. Today is March 8th, and today's episode is going to cover some interesting news about the ETH spot ETF, a new buy party starting for this weekend, and a post that I wrote about NodeSet on Reddit and Twitter. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
So first up here, we have this news. It's a screenshot that Eric Connor posted, and he says the SEC met with Coinbase regarding the Grayscale Ethereum Trust and ETPs. That's the exchange traded product, exchange traded fund ETF, what we know as. It says, I'm sure it's nothing though. So what it's saying here is the SEC meeting, the ETP, and the key points that they covered was the shares are probably categorized as commodity-based trust shares. The commission's rationale in deciding to approve spot Bitcoin ETPs applies with equal or greater force for ETH. Ethereum has mechanisms that significantly limit ETH's susceptibility to fraud and manipulation. Spot markets for ETH are highly indicative of a market resilient to fraud and manipulation. And as with Bitcoin exchanges, comprehensive surveillance sharing agreement with the CME will assist in surveilling for fraud and manipulation. So this is the kind of thing that we've been waiting for quite a while. This idea that people said, as we didn't get news of these meetings happening, then you'd have to say that the chances of the ETH ETF getting approved were going to be less and less each day, because of course the May deadline is approaching fast. It's just over 2 months away. And if we haven't started seeing this back and forth between the issuers and the SEC, then it was gonna not happen. So this was some of the biggest news that I think happened today. Out of everything, Eric Balkunis replied to this idea saying, normally I'd say this was a good sign, but as far as I know, the staff has not given any comments yet to the issuers, which is not a good sign as we passed when they gave comments out for Bitcoin ETFs. Further, there's no court loss hovering over them, and the correlations between the futures and spot isn't as strong, equals nearly as optimistic here versus Bitcoin ETF. Now, we will update as new information presents itself though. So they're kind of replying to this news of this meeting, the memorandum that went out, and then people kind of started like asking questions of him. And Eric Balkunis recently has been like, in the memes for calling ETH small potatoes, instead of like, saying Bitcoin's like the big boy or whatever. So people have been kind of upset with him. And I think like there's this idea that his like villain arc is kind of in progress. If you have a look over here, Phoenix says, notice a filing of proposed rule change to list and share trades of the Franklin Ethereum ETF, a series of Franklin Ethereum Trust under BZX Rule 14.11, commodity-based trust shares. So this here again is a new application for a spot ETF coming in from Franklin. And Marceau replied here by saying, SG's Johnson, anything to read from this? Signs of engagement from the SEC. And he got a reply saying the new filing from Franklin wouldn't say it constitutes any real engagement from the SEC, but it does show another entrant thinking it's at least possible this time around. So now I think there's 8 entrants for the ETH ETF. This was news from yesterday. So taking into account the meeting with Coinbase, the news of which came out today, that is quite interesting, I think. And here Nate Garassi says the SEC met yesterday with Grayscale attorneys and Coinbase regarding spot Ether ETF. Discussion includes analysis of correlation between futures and spot markets. So this is one of those areas of contention, and it seems like Coinbase are saying that the correlation is actually there, the one that you want to see, and they've like gone and done a higher analysis, and they're saying that the numbers are actually much higher than the commission was getting. So for the commission here, the numbers were 98.4, 94.6, and 77.1, whereas Coinbase's numbers were 99.1, 96.4, and 85.8. So those numbers were a lot higher. And then when they ran those numbers, they're so much better numbers than the SEC did in that time. So maybe the SEC's sampling was flawed. So here Nate goes on to say Coinbase analysis shows correlation between Ether futures and spot markets every bit as strong as with Bitcoin markets, adding that the SEC approved the CME traded Ether futures ETF, and I'm not sure what grounds for disapproval of spot Ether ETFs would be. So this is now people kind of like arguing the way, and Nate Garassi here is kind of like on his hero arc now, kind of replacing the Bloomberg guys, because there might be a part of it that he's saying what we want to hear, but also he seems to be making more logical statements. But of course, I'm not here to slight anyone. I'm just saying that there are question marks here, and the poly market scores haven't actually gotten much better. Let me show you all. So this is to show the chance of the ETH ETF being approved by May 31st. There's betting here that it's 38% chance. So I guess if you buy that 38% chance token for 37 cents, you'll be able to get pretty much a 3x on that to sell it for $1 when it's resolved. If it's resolved, of course, to the upside, which is a nice 3x if you think about it. And this market has $1.8 million worth of liquidity, so you won't move the price much if you're betting in small amounts. Okay, let's go to some Rocket Pool stuff now. And the news of the day for Rocket Pool is there's a new buy party starting, and Ramana here was getting ready to make a buy. He says, let's set up a party. And then Dookie said, Wax said it would be after Denver. So like this weekend, we are now having a buy party. So yeah, he was going to do a matching incentive. And then he was trying to figure out what days the party was going to happen for. We ended up deciding that he would match at 20%. So every 5 RPL the community bought, Ramana would buy 1 RPL in line with that. And then it's going to happen all weekend from Friday to Sunday. So it's going to start on Friday, March 8th. And it's going to go through to Sunday. There'll be a pop for this that Schifrin is setting up, and also if you want to do it, get out there, and it's pretty exciting. So at the moment, there've not been too many buys that have come in because the gas is quite high. So then we made this thread, and then I sold my ARB airdrop, and I bought RPL with that. And then I shared that transaction right here. So that was the first official buy of the party. Here, Blythe has been buying some in the last few days as well, including yesterday and the day before, which is pretty nice. He's actually bought a really nice amount of RPL here, about $15,000 worth. And then we also got Samus here, who bought for around 15 RPL for about $600. And he sold his link, and he bought RPL with that. So we're getting the buys slowly trickling in. I think as we get gas hitting lower prices over the weekend, hopefully this buy party will kind of catch some attention, and hopefully it'll be a successful one. I think the last one we ended up buying like more than a few $100,000 worth of RPL, which is actually pretty nice buy pressure. So let's see how this one works out. Okay, next I wrote this post in trading yesterday saying I'm really excited about NodeSet. So I wrote a post kind of summarizing what they do, why they do it, and what benefit it is to you. I wrote a post on ETH Finance here and a Twitter thread here. I said, please don't brigade the Reddit post, but please do give the tweet thread a like, retweet, and comment if you like. So people actually responded to this really well. Let's go and have a look at the thread, and I can read out to you what is included in there. You can read the whole text yourselves because everyone knows what NodeSet is already. Everyone who watches Rocket Fuel, I presume, knows what NodeSet is. So I said that NodeSet is a layer 2 on top of Rocket Pool. I said that Nick and Wander are the founders, and they've been involved in the Rocket Pool community for quite a while. Then I explained what Constellation is. So I said it's a set of node operators that basically will work on behalf of NodeSet. They will receive ETH and RPL from NodeSet, and they will stake it. They're almost definitely existing Rocket Pool node operators, and they'll be the criteria to become a NodeSet node operator is to be a node operator for at least 6 months, have an effectiveness rating of above 95%, and pass an interview. And that's kind of a Sybil check, really, to see that you're just one person and you're not a liar, basically. So then they said the idea is that Rocket Pool has stagnated. There's not enough people who have ETH and RPL and interest in running a node. So we're kind of dividing out all those 3 things. So you can either deposit your RPL, you can deposit your ETH, those are all going to go to people who are already running nodes. So it makes it a lot easier to get validators online if under their model than it is under the current system for Rocket Pool, because you need all three of those things. So what I said was, what happens is that any ETH that NodeSet deposits is like node on the NodeSet side, it's an LST that they're minting. On the Rocket Pool side, it's as if a new node operator has come online. And as you know, when a new node operator is operating on Rocket Pool, they get a commission from the eETH holders, while the NodeSet node operators will be getting that commission, but they'll be splitting that with NodeSet, the protocol. And then the people who buy XR ETH or mint it, they will be getting a commission-free 100% solo staking rewards on their LST, which would be the best in market, which is really amazing to see. So I said, NodeSet would get a commission, node operators would get a commission, people who stake through NodeSet would get outsized returns, and Rocket Pool would grow. Win, 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 win. Then I explained about how the LST is commission free. Then I went on to explain, the numbers that Wander and Nick shared about how successful it can be for a node operator. So they argued that if NodeSet reaches 10% of Rocket Pool's TVL, with 150 node operators, that would equal to 69. Wander likes to share the number, about 70 validators per each node operator. And that could equal, with LEB8s, it would equal 5 ETH per year in rewards. And if they move to LEB4s, they think it could be as much as 10 ETH per year in rewards, which is absolutely amazing. So then I said that if you think of setting up a validator as an entry ticket, you spend 10.4 ETH to become a Rocket Pool node operator, and in 6 months, you'll be eligible to become a NodeSet node operator, depending on how fast they grow and how many other node operators there are. You'll be able to make as much as 100% returns on your initial investment into Rocket Pool in a year after that, which is absolutely mind-boggling. And they don't have a minimum requirement for like your RPL collateral as well. As long as your node is up and running, that means you just pay that 2.4 ETH of RPL up front. After that, it doesn't matter if your collateral level goes down. Of course, we want it to go up and the RPL to appreciate, but they don't take that into consideration as long as you're just running your node. So if you think of that 2.4 ETH as an entry ticket, then what will happen is as the price goes, as you act as a NodeSet node operator, you'll be earning rewards that hopefully will not only cover the price of the RPL that you bought, but far exceed it. So that as an entry ticket is pretty sweet. If you're not a node operator right now, and you have the ETH and RPL, I strongly encourage you to become a node operator. You can go through Rocket School, that I covered on the show yesterday, go through it step by step and follow all the guide. And if you need any help, ask support, because you're leaving a whole lot of money on the table by not becoming a Rocket NodeSet node operator. So it says, did this sound too good to be true? And then talked about some of the challenges that NodeSet would have, about how they'd have to kind of balance their own ETH deposits, their own RPL deposits. They'll also have to balance that with minting ETH on the Rocket Pool side. And basically, it might be a little bit more difficult for them to get capital online. I said, but they've already got huge commitments for ETH and RPL deposits, which would be really exciting. So it said, when will this happen? I think it'll be around 3 months after after the Houston, which is scheduled for May 6th. So we'll have it in maybe somewhere in August, end of the summertime, basically. And then I went on to say that, here's their website, go fill out the questionnaire and become a NodeSet member. And it'll be really good for everyone. So, and then I said, that most of this talk is based on the presentation that they gave at Denver Liftoff. And then it's got some of my own little ideas and flair in there. So what's happened is this post has gotten a lot of really good traction, and a whole lot of people have signed up for being NodeSet node operators since I published this, which is amazing. Even more traction. The tweet got even more traction than this, so it's got over 100 likes and nearly 40 retweets. And this went really well as well. It was a 13 tweet thread, and people seem to have responded really well to that as well. So definitely give the thread or the post a read. They're pretty much the same in content. And if you're interested in becoming a NodeSet operator, hop into their Discord, fill out the questionnaire, and Wander or Nick, most likely I think Nick, will be in touch with you soon about getting that done. Okay, next we're moving on to the EigenLayer appeal vote that the that the PDAO put up against the GMC. So this vote right now is almost reaching quorum on one, and it's a little bit further away from quorum on the other. So let's have a look. So this one is the one to cancel the whole bounty, and it's 77% people saying that they're against this appeal, so they want it to carry on the way it was. So they want the EigenLayer bounty to go ahead, and about 22% of people saying that they don't want the EigenLayer bounty to go ahead. And then with the second one about restricting the amount of money that would be available up to, leaving it to another vote. Here, 66% of people said that they want to keep it the way it is, and 31 or 32% of people said that they want it to stop and them to put in the bounty, another bounty to be written for further integration work. So the reason why I'm covering this is because Patches wrote an explanation. Patches, of course, was the person who brought the appeal to the PDAO from the GMC against the GMC. And Patches here wrote a little explanation of why he's voting the way he is. He says, I'm about to vote against cancelling the bounty, but for reducing its scope. I believe the GMC did the right thing with the tools available to them, not being immediately being able to refer to the full PDAO vote, but I don't like the way things turned out. He says the reasoning the research is critically important, is it will determine what work needs to be done to integrate EigenLayer, and it will determine the risks posed by restaking protocols and what can be done to mitigate them. Then he says, given the research is critical, milestone after the research are premature, that he thinks that we need to do the research and then find out what the milestones should be after that. He says they may not accurately describe or estimate the work needed to protect against the malicious restaking protocol. He says there's no on this below. The 3 says the GMC has unilateral power to modify bounties, and while I trust they will follow through with the PDAO vote as promised, and the respect the integrity of the members of the GMC, I shouldn't have to. He says a malicious GMC could wait for the 2-week challenge period to elapse and scrub the following PDAO vote. I really think there's close to 0% chance this would happen, but because it's possible, follow-up work should be a standalone bounty that itself is subject to a challenge period. This is because of the above factors. The cleanest approach to this bounty is to reduce its scope and start fresh when we have more information. And then he has a couple of paragraphs about malicious restaking protocols. So he says Rocket Pool is of course permissionless, whether we take on the work or to integrate with EigenLayer or not. It's possible, even probable, that a restaking protocol will integrate with us without asking for our input. He says, assume for a minute that new restaking protocol is called //layer and decides to accept Rocket Pool's node withdrawal address change as collateral. Assume they offer you 5 points per LEB8. In exchange, they slash your entire stake. A node operator can now exchange their 8 ETH bond for 5 points. This may even be profitable to the node operator. Once they change their withdrawal address, they have a strong financial incentive to continue operating those validators and steal MEV. If they exit, they get nothing except the 5 points they were already assigned. If they don't exit, they can continue running the validator and steal MEV from the protocol, which at a certain size will pay their operating costs and add a healthy profit on top, plus the 5 points they were already assigned. It says forced exit is a stopgap for sure, but unless we can proactively detect that they have been slashed for their entire stake, the node operator can simply wait for a juicy block, steal its MEV, get forced out, and start the whole process again. And then there's more information there as well. And then there's information about solving the risks. It says it's not clear to me that a solution exists. Research must be done. It's entirely possible that Rocket Pool's permissionless nature undermines its collateral requirements with the advent of restaking, at least when it comes to MEV theft. And then he says it's critical, however, that we do the research because EigenLayer is unlikely to be the last restaking protocol with an interest in integrating with Rocket Pool. The next ones may simply integrate permissionlessly. And then he says, hypothetically, even if we solve these risks, I struggle to see where we would want to fund development on behalf of the protocol that posed them in the first place. Again, research must be done first. Just until all these questions are answered, it is premature to codify any plans or potential funding beyond the research. And then there was a couple of questions with dark message and Patch's reply. So that's definitely like an ongoing issue. It looks like the votes will reach quorum this weekend, and then it looks currently like the GMC's original decision will stand. However, that is now, it'll be the case that the PDAO has voted on this. which will be nice. Okay, next we got some news that Sneaky Ninja Guy shared. So some of you have been wondering where the Denver liftoff video is, and you not being able to see it because it's been made private on the YouTube. However, that is not the case. The issue that you need to pay attention to is that you need to be signed in on YouTube to be able to see the video. If you are not signed in on YouTube, you won't be able to see the video because it's unlisted, which is what the rating is here, I guess, while they wait on the editing. But as you see, like right now, you can watch everything. You don't have to wait basically for you don't have to wait for Kane or anyone else to actually make edits and stuff. You can watch the whole video in this raw form if you want to do that. And then yeah, if you want to do that, you can do that. But if you want to wait for the raw form, then you'll just have to wait a little while. Sneaky was also saying that the first while of the video was recorded using Ken's and or Sneaky's hardware, and that was causing some issues. And then after the second or third talk, then it was the university's hardware, which I think did a much better job of capturing the audio and the video. So if you are interested in that, definitely go and give it a watch, because it. Oh, look, and there's me on the screen. Oh, well, now it's buffering. I was on the event as well. So yeah, it was a really great event. Now you can watch the whole thing, but remember, you just need to be signed in on YouTube in order to watch it. Okay, we're going to go back to Twitter for a few posts in a row now. The first one is here from Jasper. So he says, poll for my eETH holders and really all LST holders. If all LST's APR was cut in half, would you? And it says exit to ETH, stay in eETH, switch high yield LST, or go to a non-LST yield. This is in response to the new tokenomics discussions that are coming out of Jasper and other researchers at the Ethereum Foundation. You know, the Robust Incentives Initiative, I think that's what it's called. They are the ones who are trying to work out like how to change staking rewards to hit targets of what it should look like. And what's happening here is, like, even if the rates went down, it looks like the majority of people would either stay in eETH or its equivalent, or switch to a higher yield LST. There's over 50% of people responded in that way. So that's really interesting, because what they want is to have fewer of those people online, not more of those people online. And it looks like there'll still be, like, you know, potentially more than half of the people who responded here. So that was 174 votes. There's still 5 days to go for this poll, but I think Jasper's like collecting this information, and he's going to probably write a paper about it, knowing Jasper. Okay, next we've got a couple of client updates. The first one here is from Bisu. So it says Bisu release 24.3.0 is now available. Bisu is Denkun ready. So yeah, then they're saying that the Bisu is now Denkun ready, and this is the Denkun upgrade activates on mainnet on March 13th. If you run a Bisu node on mainnet, you will need to update to at least version 24.1.2 to follow the chain after this date. So make sure that you are upgraded to the correct version, and then got more details of what this includes. But you know, we'll most likely will get a smart node stack probably on Monday, in order to like be ready for the actual hard fork, because I think everything will be hopefully included by then. There's a chance that we might get one on the 12th. So I'll keep you all in the loop with an idea of whether you'll have to do any last minute upgrades or not. Of course, you know, it just takes a few minutes to get those upgrades done. And then we got also news out of Teku, and they said that they have version 24.3.0 is now available, and this is an optional upgrade containing improvements and bug fixes. So this, of course, is not necessary to be on this version. You can need to be on the version before this to be Denkun ready. But again, you know, we'll have another upgrade here, an update here to make the upgrade a little bit more likely to happen. And then next we've got some interesting news here about Rocket Pool on centralized and decentralized exchanges and where the volume is. So it seems like Valdor's been kind of crunching some of the numbers, and the idea was, like, you know, is RPL now pegged to the US dollar, or is it pegged to Ethereum like it was for most of its life? Now, basically up until a year ago when it got Binance listing. And Val crunched the numbers, and let's have a look at some of Val's numbers here. So he got a whole bunch of activity from centralized and decentralized exchanges, and he saw, what pairs is Rocket Pool trading against. So he made a couple of different categories. There was ETH-like, so these are like, against ETH, RETH, wrapped ETH, etc. And then he had another category of it being like USD-like. So this was against USD, LUSD, USDT, USDC, etc. All those different stablecoins. And then there's another category as well, like Euro-like. So what he found was, in terms of activity here, the amount of volume is way more in USD-like than it is in ETH-like, by basically 90% of it being in USD-like on that one chart. And then on the second chart, we're looking at the depth, and it looks like there's a little bit more ETH depth than there is US dollar-like depth, but it's still 60% US dollar-like and 30% ETH-like, with 10% being made up of the others, or 11%, I guess, sorry, made up of the others. So this is really fascinating data, and I think it's really like adding more depth and flavor to this idea that's kind of been percolating in the community recently about what exactly is the general wider market seeing RPL's value. Is it against ETH or is it against USD like pairs? And it seems like it's the latter, sadly. Yeah. Okay, we've got this update from Jasper, who talked about Opal here. And it says that they have a launch countdown. It says, after a year of dedicated efforts, we're proud to announce the imminent launch of Opal Volume 1. This inaugural version introduces a focus around LSTs and LRTs, starting with an initial set of 4 omnipools, namely wrapped STETH, RETH, WETH, and WeETH. And then Jasper kind of like pulls out some more information here. He says, Opal, they're harnessing the efficiency of native restaking and deepen on-chain liquidity for WeETH through the ultimate omnipool flywheel. And then they say Opal is delighted to receive ETHify support to bootstrap the first farming strategy, earning Balancer, Aura, Gem, and LRT points, and LST native yield. So what they're doing is basically Jasper saying that they're having an RETH, WeETH pool that's coming on Balancer or something like that. And it looks like they are going to have approximately 500,000 across the 3 omnipools to like enhance liquidity basically. And there's going to be some pretty good rewards for that, it looks like. And then they have an explanation of what Opal is, and it's built on Ethereum, aiming to enhance DEX's liquidity flywheel, starting with Balancer ecosystem. It employs yield-bearing omnipools. So they're giving some information about how that works out. And then Jasper says people get to vote with Gem to direct which pools to use and probably earn some Gen inflation for depositing, a bit like Aura on top of Aura. Not much real value add, it seems. And then he says, imagine an arena battle. Oh no, that's something else. Yeah, so if you're interested in that, then go and follow these tweets and find out more. But Jasper thinks it's not much of a value add. Okay, next we had some funny news that came out yesterday. So the RPL Benefactor came back into the Discord and he said, saw some of you in Denver, finished skiing today, was good. And then people started replying. Sneaky said, so Benny skis, with the thunking emoji. And then Noshua replied with red fish. And then red square fish. So Sneaky was like, what are you talking about? And Noshua says it's a red herring. So basically Benny either wasn't at Denver at all, basically, and just is lying and saying he or she or they were at Denver. And then Sneaky says it's not obvious enough. But then people started talking about who Sneaky is, who the RPL Benefactor is, and kind of trying to like bounce ideas around about it. And it was kind of a fun discussion. Noshua was insinuating that I'm the benefactor, but I'm not the benefactor. But yeah, it was a nice little fun discussion. And then Benny had to come back in and say, yo, like, please stop trying to guess who I am. And Benny said that a few times in the past as well, but I think trading kind of ignored Benny yesterday, and we were just like, we're gonna keep joking about it. So it was kind of fun, but yeah, it was good. And then finally, we're gonna end with some news like it's like whatever, big deal, not big deal, like it doesn't make a difference. But Bitcoin hit an all-time high of $69,990 on Binance. On some charts, it went over $70,000. So congratulations to Bitcoin holders. You held through a tough bear market. Well, maybe not as tough as previous bear markets, but it was a bear market, and you held through. Actually, it is the shortest bear market now as well, because the all-time high came way earlier than expected. But yeah, we hit the all-time high, and then there was a dip, and then there was a pump, and now we're in the process of having another dip, I think. But the price action has been pretty amazing. ETH amazingly has been holding on really well as well. So ETH hit $4,000 on some exchanges. On Binance, it hit $3,993. It also got that wick as well, but it's been holding up really nicely. And if we have a look at the ETH BTC chart, which is actually a really nice chart, well, actually that's a little bit too far zoomed out. Let me see. 3-day might give us better information. Yeah, so we kind of dipped into right at the ETF news. The day before the ETF news, that's when it was the cycle low for the ratio. And since then, we've actually responded really strongly. And we've even gotten above some of these moving average lines, which if you follow TA is actually a good sign. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then I'll just finish up by saying RPL, of course, as we were just saying, is pretty much a stable coin now. So it's at $34.64, but it's kind of trading in this wedge for the last few months, really. Sorry, not wedge, in this range for the last few months. So it looks like it wants to break out on the upside, but it hasn't yet. Of course, we will all be watching the charts to see what happens with that. Anyway, on that note, I am going to end today's episode. Thank you all for listening, watching, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely weekend ahead, and I will see you on Monday. Bye.